welcome to the Season 12 finale of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Hi, I'm Jesi. I'm Dominica.
And I'm Josh. And for this last episode of Season 12, we are going to be discussing a relatively melancholy poem, which, that's the way we're concluding the season, but don't worry, we have a lot more happy things that we're going to be going over in the future. But we are going to be discussing The Meadow Mouse by Theodore Roethke. And it is a poem about a speaker finding and caring for a small mouse that ends up going missing. The discussion starter that I have is, who do you believe is at greater despair at the end of this poem?
The rescuer.
Yeah.
I mean, he took in a wild animal, a small little wild animal, and, put it in a little shoebox, and then got upset the next morning that it was no longer there. Like it's in its nature to go foraging for its food, and once it ate, all the cheese and everything that the guy provided for him, there was no need for it to be there anymore. So, I mean, I would be upset, sure, but it's in its nature. You can't expect it to.
It's
actually what I literally
mouse.
just wrote. It's like you can't fight nature. It's like, yeah, you can help, something come back to its. Because I don't know if the mouse was sick or just small and
If we just took it because
whatever.
it was cute.
Young.
Yeah, it was just young. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It was, and I quote,
It was a small mouse.
it was a baby mouse, whiskers that stuck out like a cartoon mouse, feet like small leaves, little lizard feet, and it wriggled like a minuscule puppy.
Yeah.
So it got I have the impression that it's a relatively small,
it was young,
little
still
thing.
trying to learn to fend for itself, or didn't have the strength to do so, and he nursed it back, and now it
Got
it's
strength
nature,
back.
like that. It just went out.
But once I mean, we
We get attached to things. And
We do. I mean, generally, the caretaker, in many cases, once the creature is better, it's usually the rescuer primarily sets it free. But this one went off before the rescuer could make such a choice, if it would even choose to do so. But the only evidence that we get that it's better is that it was no longer trembling. We don't really have as much detail as far as...
Other than the fact that it left, right? I mean, that's another...
the fact that it left, it helped too.
Yeah. I mean, that it had the strength to leave at all.
Yeah, it wouldn't have left if it couldn't.
And go out of sight. So...
Usually that's a good thing when you can't find a mouse.
But the rescuer really got caught up with all the bad things that could happen when in actuality...
Probably fine.
Yeah, there's a good chance it is probably fine and happy where it is. I mean, is there a chance that they could be fending off predators? Perhaps.
Just as much as any other animal.
Yeah, but that's how nature works. So.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the idea there too is right. Like, you can compare it to like parents sending their kids out into the world, where they're going to worry about all the potential dangers and harms that could befall your kid, but at the same time, you want the kid to go out and be and face what life is going to bring them, right? And,
I wrote something here that almost like the rescuer is thinking, the helpless things, because he also mentions like the turtles and the other small animals and the helpless things that have to take on the ever-changing and cruel world. And that's something that, we see as conscious human beings, whereas, those small animals, it's basic survival. So, yes, we see it as a cruel world, especially to small animals, but, the small animals, they kind of know what they're doing. And that's why they're still around.
In many cases, non-humans have the tendency to think primarily just about survival. We think about survival as well, but we have a lot of other things that we have on our plates, which we made mention to in Cougar. Mice don't think the way that we do.
Just like turtles don't.
No.
The rescuer wanted to rescue him, and he did.
The rescuer did a good thing, and now the mouse has a fighting chance.
Yep.
Yeah, because you can't keep a mouse that doesn't want to be kept.
No.
Yep.
And
Especially
also,
not in a shoebox.
also, you think about, or it made me think of this experiment that they did a few years ago. They took a bunch of lab rats, and they wanted to see what would happen if they gave these lab rats a utopia. So they had access to food whenever they wanted it. They didn't have to worry about anything. And they kind of went crazy, the rats. They started eating each other and going crazy. Just because of the fact that they didn't know what else to do, right?
It reminds me of Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except they were
Lord of the Flies with immediate manic.
Yeah, their every need was met.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder what would happen to us if we ever did achieve some kind of utopia on Earth. Like,
And we never had to fight for anything.
Yeah, but what would we be?
It's also part of human nature, though, that they have a sense of greed that they want more.
I think in the rat's case, it's more like they have an animal instinct to do certain things, and when those certain things are, I guess, taken away from them by a utopia, they have no, and I hate to say it this way, but like almost no more sense of purpose. It's like rats or any animal is like it's to do something. And they're not doing anything, so yeah, they're gonna go crazy. Like, what are they gonna do?
I feel like it's against creatures to want to live in a utopia because it's their natural instinct to fight after what they want. So rounding back to the Meadow Mouse, I feel like when the rescuer gave him all the food and the little water, that was his utopia for that night. And then when he woke up and could walk away from it to go back to its natural life and world, given a choice, it did.
But you also have, it was a good thing that it was able to do it at that time, because once they become dependent, they can't break away. It could end up, it would reach the point that it would become domesticated.
Right.
But it was able to walk away at that point. It seemed to be old enough to be able to do so. It's kind of like with cats, where if you pull a feral cat out of nature you have to do it when they're very young in order for them to be strictly domesticated house cats.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to become they have that wildlife instinct. There are some exceptions, because we have had cats that have moved in at an older age, but in many cases that's the way it goes. But what did you guys think about the structure of the poem and the way that Roethke worded things?
I thought it was just pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think it was anything super special.
Yeah, nothing spectacular.
Yeah.
It was good. It said its message, and we got its meaning.
It really did. I think it really used a great sense of word choice, where he was showing and not telling. And I just like the various listing of examples per se, and in that second stanza where he gives us that sense of what he sees as a situation to panic, but we, the reader, view that it is more so the rescuer being more worried as the rescuer, as opposed to actually thinking that the mouse, not really thinking that the mouse could very well just have been happy with his his R&R and his B&B for the night.
I would feel the same way as the rescuer. If I rescued a little mouse and I went to go check on it the next morning and it was gone, I'd be sad. But I would understand, but I can't deny that I would be a little
sure
sad.
This rescuer understands too, because he or she thinks about the other little animals, and it's just like aware of the dangers, like they said, they're aware of the dangers that are out there, and it's like, I'm sad that he's gone, but he's well enough to go.
And when you care for something, you start to think of everything that could go wrong. But to me, that just kind of proves that despite their short little relationship, the rescuer really did care for the little mouse.
The worst thing would have been finding the mouse in the box dead.
Yeah, or the feather.
The fact that it was
Yeah.
free, I think, is a sense to think that it'll be okay.
Or if there was
Yeah.
a snake in
Yeah.
a box. What if there was a snake in a box?
Exactly.
That would
Could be
be
the
terrible.
yeah. If it
A feather or a
was,
snake or something
Yeah.
to elude.
but I mean, given the circumstance, I think that a snake could have very well snuck into the house. But those chances are, given his living circumstance, it's slim. There is a lot to worry about on his end from what he's thinking, but he's
The mouse
thinking,
isn't
yeah,
thinking that.
yeah. He's only thinking about it on a one-way track.
As a human.
Yeah, as a human.
Who wanted a pet mouse?
Yeah.
Yep.
Who?
Go
Yeah.
fetch
Wanted,
one.
I mean, also, I think people that know enough about animals would know that these are wild animals, and that if they stray away, then
Let them go.
then you do let them go. Do we have any final thoughts? I just wonder what 3 kinds of cheeses he gave.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I want him to be taken care of like
Yeah, I'd go. You could make
minus
a
the shoebox.
yeah, you could. Yeah, maybe if it's large enough, it's going to be tougher.
Large
Butter
enough
and
shoebox.
cheese and
If it's-
crackers.
if it's
and
like-
please,
Paul
take
Bunyan
care of
shoes
me.
here.
Paul Bunyan shoebox, maybe. I'd be happy with a laptop and a bookshelf. That would be good. But
That's me.
Yeah, short and sweet poem, and I think a great way because I know you said melancholy, but I don't know. I kind of saw it as a little bit of a happier sort of story.
Yeah, compared to everything else we had to read this week.
Exactly. So,
if you see it as the mouse achieving a happier, freer life, then yes, this is a good way to end the season.
let's leave it at that.
3 types of cheese too.
And 3 types of cheese.
But if you're interested in reading this poem, you can find it easily online, and there are also collections of Theodore Roethke's poetry. I remember borrowing one of them from my good friend Cynthia, who was on seasons 3 and 4 of Literary Gladiator. She was a huge enthusiast for Theodore Roethke, and we went over Long Live the Weeds back in season 4. But I want to thank everyone that helped make this season the season that it was. Season 12 presented some challenges, but we persevered, and we made it through. We were able to film 41 great discussions. I want to thank Larry, Jesi, Dominica, Ari, Kayla, Dan, Charlie,
Trevor.
Rennie, Casey, Cindy, yes, Tori,
And Nick.
Nick,
Right, I think? Yeah.
Nick,
Yeah, he was here.
Trevor phoned in, Brian, if you want to say Wise the Owl, there's Dumbo, and Sarah, Maya, and Dr. Bordelon on Zoom. I think that's I think that's everybody. And Dominica has been a great addition to the show as not just on the panel, but as someone that's involved with the camera, the filming, the editing, and assistant production. The most important letter in Literary Gladiators is not the L at the beginning of the first word or the G at the beginning of the second word, but the S at the end. That really gives us that sense of community, and it always is so meaningful to meet up with one another and discuss and debate various works of literature. And we want to keep doing it, and we're going to be back for a 13th season in a few weeks, where we have a lot of great works. Thank you again, and thank you all for your support in any which way. Did anybody else want to say something?
No, it's always great to be a part of, this group and everybody coming together and working together to put, something really fun together that, obviously that we don't just enjoy, discussing and talking about, but obviously we have how many subscribers? Tons of subscribers that enjoy
At this
watching
point,
us.
yes, tons.
Yeah, so, it's not just us, it's them too. So, thanks, guys.
The math teacher may say
Yeah.
otherwise, because a ton is 2,000 pounds, but...
We're almost there. We're almost there.
We don't know how much they weigh.
I bet if you weighed all of the literary gladiators together, we'd be pretty gosh darn close. So, Dumbo wouldn't bring a bunch too.
But
No, I mean, I just want to echo what you guys said. It was great. It's great, Josh, and thank you very much for putting this together over the past few years. It's really been worthwhile, and getting to know you guys and everybody else that's associated with the program. And I really enjoy doing this. So, thank you.
it's more than a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate you talking to my mom that day in ShopRite and inviting me on, and the biggest thing that I got out of this was not just expanding what I like to read and the lessons I can learn from all these pieces of art, but it's the friendship that all of you guys have given me. That's what matters to me the most. I know it's corny and I know it's cheesy, but it's more important to me than I think anything we could possibly discuss in any discussion is what happens not only behind the scenes, but just when we're with each other.
Yes, I think that just doing it with a great group of people, it's priceless.
It showed up in my Facebook memories either yesterday or today. I can't quite remember, but my very first Literary Gladiator video. It was my book haul from the
Book Garden.
And it was the very first video I did with you guys, and you invited me to come and do it, and I was so nervous and so like, are you sure? And you were like, yeah, you could do this, you got this, and now here we are.
I know I'm still relatively new. There's still a lot I can learn. I didn't, get my hand in a lot of discussions, so hopefully I can keep contributing good things.
Oh, you're doing
Yeah.
Look, we've got a microphone and a light.
Yes, we do.
And a memory card.
All
and a
expensive
camera
stuff.
that goes more than 10 minutes before we have to stop it. So.
Goes 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I
Moving on up.
I appreciate being able to utilize all my expensive equipment and everything that I've learned.
So do we.
No, I mean, if you put it into perspective, I was afraid of using them. They're big and intimidating, and and now I'm kind of being forced to do what it is that I love, because there's no time to be afraid not to do it.
You're using it, and it's working. So, mission accomplished.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to join us next season. For now, and as always, we encourage you to keep reading.